Hello, welcome back for those who've came back, and welcome to those who are reasonably new. An uncut version. Let me just turn down some music. Little candle for ambiance. Nice if it's aromatherapies, which that isn't, nonetheless. For those who have just joined me and it's new, grab a cup of tea. I think I have a little bit left. Always finished. Or a cup of coffee, or perhaps even a glass of wine. But like I say, I don't want to keep you too long, 10 minutes, because if it is uncut, then it could bore the pants off you. Cheers. So what I wanted to start off by saying is thank you for those people who've actually messaged me from last night. All those messages make such a big difference to me, and I really do appreciate them. And that's really what this is all about as we move on. Naturally, it will improve in terms of technology, but you can grow with me that way. But it is all about those small things making, when we're connecting together, making all the difference in our lives. Just because you are finding what you want to do, and you've, for example, there's something that you've always wanted to do and you achieve it, doesn't necessarily make you feel happy. And why is that? Well, it's obvious really, isn't it? Because we're always on a road to doing something, and through everything that we travel down, the road that we travel down, whatever it is we're aspiring to do, various things will come and go, good and bad, all at the same time. And like I said yesterday about the pandemic, with unprecedented, who would have thought? Well, that just means to me anything can happen, and that means good and bad. So you want to be able to find some ability to sustain enough energy as you can to give yourself a life that you feel happy with. We can overestimate happiness. It filters in there every now and then, but it's what we're doing day to day. It doesn't necessarily make us ecstatically happy or consciously being happy, but it is something where I feel, which is what I want more, is to grow my brain more than even my podcast. Well, that wouldn't be hard considering I've not got many, but at the same time, hopefully improve as I go, because as I improve, that should help me with everything else that I have to do on top of that, by connecting to you and you connecting to me. I did say that I would maybe talk a little bit about myself in terms of how I've ended up really aware of not only my own mental health but others. And that actually happened when my husband was first diagnosed with cancer. I don't want to go down that path too much, but I've lost him now just about 5 years ago, but he was a catalyst at that time for me leaving my full-time employment at the age of 53, I have to say, to do something that I had always wanted to do, and that was to get my bachelor's in acting and performance. So I went back to study that, in a class full of very young people. I think that the nearest age bracket to me was about 36, bearing in mind I was 53. But it was fun, and it was something that's one thing that I will never regret doing. And I was going to talking about regrets, that we seem to, or at least I do, and I know it seems to be overall we all do it. I think it's just intrinsic, it's something genetic in a human being, that no matter what happens, we're always looking back thinking, I should have done this, I should have said that, etc. At least we all know we do that. But whether it's how long you hang on to doing that, getting into that habitual state of thought that isn't really helping you. And that's what this is all about too, to try and help me, to help you, and you help me, and all that jazz. No regrets, they don't work. No regrets now. Robbie Williams, I think. Sorry about that. as you know, I can't help but do that. It's one of those things where it's helped me having some kind of humour. I don't know if anyone would agree with that. Please drop me a line if you don't, and why, or even little things that you're able to do to get yourself out of thinking in a bad way, a way that in which is not helping you, or even if you are struggling with any regrets or anything else, if you don't mind sharing publicly. Naturally, I understand, not everyone does, and that's the whole thing. It's the stigma of feeling certain ways that we might be embarrassed about, and that can be certainly left to be in a private situation. But I think it's good that we are now in society now opening up a lot more, because mental health is massive. And it may come from the fact that, well, I say the fact, in my day when I was growing up as a kid, it was simple and uncomplicated because we didn't have any social media. When I say social media or technology, to allow us, what it allowed me as a child and people of my age bracket to use their imagination to have fun, to use their imagination to sustain themselves in certain ways, learning that socialization to accomplish yourself, to perhaps even articulate a lot better than in life now, and especially being younger, you're relying on television and movies and social media and everything else to entertain you, to give you that imagination. You're looking for that to help you, and maybe that doesn't help, because we really do need to be able to use this a lot more to sustain us instead of external forces. I mean, don't get me wrong, doing this, technology is massive in advantages. The advantages are massive. But along with, like everything else, we have to really monitor what we're doing with ourselves, and especially our young people as well. And perhaps that's why mental health should be taken so seriously at a young age, to be aware of what we actually are, and the energy that we have, and where we expel that, or where we put that, and how important it is to our physical health as well, the whole mind and body coherence. There's a little bit of Joe Dispenza, which I would like to talk about. But I digress there, and because it's not being cut, naturally it may have got a bit confusing, so I apologise for that. But like I say, better than nothing. So going back to when I studied acting and performance, when it was 4 years actually of that study, but the impact it had on me was more than I ever could expect, and not exactly what I was expecting, in terms of suddenly being more aware with all the practitioners we use to find the ability to perform a character that's realistic enough for someone to watch and believe and enjoy. There is an art to that.